WCBI News at 10 starts now.
Thanks for staying up with us tonight. Charges are being dropped against former officer Kenyon Boykin, who was charged with manslaughter in the 2015 shooting death of Ricky Ball. The Attorney General's office made the announcement today. Kenyon Boykin's attorney released this statement to us today. He said there was absolutely no evidence it was anything but self-defense. It's a tragedy when for anyone to die. Kenyon was doing what he was sent to do and had to defend himself. That statement can be seen in full over on our website. Now, here's what the AG's office, here's what they said about the case. It says in part, they met with Ricky Ball's family. The office did a thorough and independent review of the thousands of documents in this case and concluded that there is not evidence on which to prosecute the case against Officer Boykin. The statement also goes on to say that the evidence pointed to self-defense. Now, this is a look at former Officer Boykin as he was in handcuffs. He was indicted on a manslaughter charge in 2016. Now let's go back to October 16th of 2015. Ricky Ball was pulled over in North Columbus. Columbus police said then Ball got out of the vehicle and ran. Boykin chased Ball and caught up with him, allegedly tasing him. Ball reportedly got up to run again, and Boykin claimed he saw a gun. That's when he shot the Columbus man. Ball was later found by a house. On-scene investigators found a stolen gun that tied back to a Columbus police officer. Boykin was fired from CPD shortly after the shooting, in turn suing the city, in which a settlement was reached. Now, we've reached out to Ball's family for a comment, but we have not heard back. District Attorney Scott Colomb is having a press conference tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock to address the AG's office decision. Well, tensions are still running high in the Twin Cities as protests over the death of George Floyd moved to St. Paul today. The areas of concern are spread out around the capital city. Those protests have turned to riots, lootings, and burnings. Susan Elizabeth Littlefield of CBS affiliate WCCO has the very latest.
A St. Paul Target parking lot turned into a battleground as tensions boiled. Officers stood guard as they became the target of years of frustration.
It's just crazy. It's uncalled for, but this is what happens. This is what is built up to this.
And what that entailed was looting from shoe stores and pawn shops, anger over the death of George Floyd by a police officer, shattered windows and broken hearts.
This is like complete anarchy, carnage.
While some doubled down on their actions, others questioned the way they went about it.
This is not going to resolve anything, and all of this material stuff is just material stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to understand what people think they're going to gain from all of this, because it's not going to resolve anything at all.
And as the day wore on, resolution seemed farther and farther away. But amidst what at times seemed like a war, there was still some hope for peace.
Hopefully out of this chaos, change can come, and we can start acting like human beings. We're here to take care of each other, so let's do it.
We had some quiet weather this evening. Hopefully you could have taken advantage of it. Hopefully you did take advantage of it. Our sunset tonight from the Starkville area. Look at that, a nice burst of color, not too bad. Not a lot of rain this evening, although we have some showers reinvigorating themselves here near Coffeyville, just to the west of Bruce and Calhoun County. So the chance for some rain continues. Most of you will probably not see it, but we may see some showers around here tonight. Maybe a thunder shower too. Tomorrow, your Friday, low to mid 80s again, very similar to today. Scattered showers and storms possible, but we will clear it all out for the weekend. We'll show you that forecast coming up.
New tonight, COVID-19 may be in all of the headlines, but Mississippi is still feeling the effects of the flu. The Mississippi State Department of Health reports a second child flu death for 2020. The child died back in March, but the case had not been reported at the time. The first pediatric flu death, the child in central Mississippi, that was reported last week. Officials say that was the first such death since 2018. Some of Mississippi's share of the CARES Act money is getting through to smaller hospitals through the Small Rural Hospital Improvement Program, also known as SHIP. The grant helps enhance health care for hospitals that have 49 beds or less in their facilities. Our Stephanie Poole explains how one local hospital is spending their money for patient assistance.
Tyler Holmes Memorial Hospital in Winona is already developing ways to help improve patient care through the SHIP program. Administration leaders say the grant money will help fund equipment for COVID-19 patients.
We just never have had the funds flow in to be able to purchase things to improve patient care.
Corey Bailey is an administrator at the hospital. She says the money will allow the hospital to make needed changes in a shorter time frame.
In the past, we have always registered all of our outpatients, our ED patients, as well as our inpatients, everything through one channel. And so with COVID, we would like to separate that process. Any patients who might be presented with COVID symptoms or for an x-ray, COVID testing, we would like to be able to separate those from, the patients who are not sick.
Bailey says up to 10% of the grant money will cover those costs. Other funds will go towards testing equipment.
We have purchased more supplies in response to COVID. Part of our process is to test for the flu and strep first. If those two are negative, then we usually test for COVID, unless they're showing true symptoms.
The board also decided to purchase a new ventilator.
You can purchase supplies for respiratory hygiene and cough etiquette, including hand sanitizer, PPE or supplies for hospital personnel, purchase and install temporary barriers and reconfigure space through minor alteration. That's kind of where our renovation activities have come in.
Bailey says she's grateful patients can get quality treatment closer to home.
So with grants such as the SHIP grant and CARES Act, we're able to enhance patient care here in our area.
Hospitals who are awarded the grant only have 18 months to spend those funds. Reporting in Montgomery County, Stephanie Poole, WCBI News.
Each SHIP-eligible hospital can receive up to $90,000 from the grant. As Mississippi inches closer to next week's safe return order taking effect, state leaders are still urging caution to help keep COVID-19 numbers from rising. Courtney Jackson explains.
This thing is not even remotely over, sadly.
State Health Officer Dr. Thomas Dobbs says the healthcare system has been able to take on the weight of COVID-19 for now, but the number of hospitalizations continues to be monitored closely, especially at a regional level.
Every community is one wild weekend from falling off the cliff. I don't care how great you've been, and if you're in a northern county and everything's great and say, okay, we can go back to normal, you can't go back to normal. What you've been doing has been working, and keep it up. Congratulations. Don't let up your guard.
In Wayne County, where the case count rose sharply in recent days, Dobbs says they're learning folks were ignoring the guidelines and having large gatherings.
And we have some evidence that some of those were points of outbreak, where the many cases are likely to come.
So I asked the governor, are you anxious that folks will feel more comfortable with large gatherings since they are around more and more people at retail stores and out in public?
If the question is, am I feeling a little bit anxious, the answer today is yes, and the answer yesterday was yes, and I'm fairly certain that the answer tomorrow is going to be yes. I've been anxious since the onset of this virus and doing everything we can to educate Mississippians and make sure that we are making the best decisions to not only protect the lives of our fellow Mississippians, but also protect their livelihoods.
Reese says it's one of the reasons he's continued to hold these daily briefings.
Explain in no uncertain terms that the single most important thing in protecting Mississippi from this virus is for individuals to exhibit personal responsibility.
Courtney Jackson, WCBI News.
As we first reported yesterday, a cluster of COVID-19 infections is connected to a funeral in North Mississippi. Today, health officials report that funeral was in Baldwin. So far, 7 COVID-19 cases have been identified in people who went to the funeral. 2 out-of-state coronavirus cases have also been linked to the gathering, with others that are still under investigation. The funeral and after-service gathering, they were held on May 17th.
We're trying to get a notification out to attendees who are ill so we can backtrack it. So kind of like a hepatitis A outbreak, we need to figure out who's been there. So we're still collecting information. I'm not aware of anyone who's died or required mechanical ventilation, but we're still gathering information. We're going to really expand our investigation on that because there could be a lot of cases come out of that.
The health department is asking anyone who went to either event to monitor themselves for any symptoms. Curbside service has become common at restaurants during the COVID-19 pandemic, and starting next week, the Amory Municipal Library will be serving up books to go to senior citizens wanting to do some summer reading. Pretty awesome here. The library isn't open for visitors just yet, but people can call during the day to request any items. Library staff will call that person when the items are ready to be picked up. The books and other items can be picked up at the drive. It's in the back near the outside of the book drop.
The elderly and the people who are most vulnerable for the COVID-19, it's suggested that they stay in, and so we want them to be safe and not have to worry about getting out. And so that's just a service that we want to provide for that group of individuals. So we miss them, and everybody's ready to read, and we just want to do a little something. We have to do some things gradually.
Hey, I think it's a great idea. Books can be picked up from noon until 3 on Monday and Friday. Now, this starts this upcoming Monday, June 1st. For more information, just call the Emory Library at 662-256-5261. All right, we're going to send things over to Chief Neurologist Keith Gibson. Keith, during this pandemic, I've actually read quite a bit more.
Good for you.
I think I'm down 2 books now, so that's more than I've read in a while. So.
Weather has been keeping me busy this spring with all the storms we've had.
It's been a lot.
We're getting into the summer doldrums, Scott, so maybe it would be a good time to pick up a good book. Speaking of Amory, our planner for tomorrow, more scattered storms. We start out at 64 at 7 o'clock, 84, 85 in the afternoon, but the storms go away for the weekend. Your full forecast is next.
Your WCBI First Alert AccuWeather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
Some showers and thunder showers across the region today. No severe weather, but we did see some gusty breezes out ahead of some of those storms. We had a nice breeze from the southwest. Again, in Amory, a mix of sun and clouds today before some of that rain moved on through. Let's talk about our forecast. There's Bartley, the kitty cat, enjoying the great weather, some sunshine. We will have lots of sun this weekend. Tomorrow, we start out in the 60s at 7 o'clock, back into the 80s in the afternoon, storms budding on up, and some scattered rain and storms around once again. We're looking at low to mid 80s, so very similar to what we had today. The official high in Columbus and Tupelo today was 85 degrees. That's right on the nose as far as the average, and it looks like we'll be in that same ballpark tomorrow. West Alabama, 84 in Sullivan and Vernon, 82 in New Albany, perhaps a little bit cooler in Boonville, 81, 84 in Houston. So that will likely be our Friday. Let's jump ahead to Saturday. The UV index in the extreme category, because we will have more or less wall-to-wall sunshine Saturday and Sunday too. We're forecasting highs in the low 80s, a little bit lower humidity here. So that's our saving grace, still very nice, but the humidity level will drop. No rain this weekend, and we will have some comfortable nights. Storms moving down through Tupelo today. We had some around Vernon, a few showers in the vicinity of Louisville earlier. No rain officially in Columbus. That's our Alpha Insurance camera network, our time lapses. We still have a few showers out there. There's Bruce just to the west of you along Highway 330. Some wet weather. Coffeyville, Water Valley getting in on some light showers right now. The area of low pressure, the same one we've been talking about all week, is in Arkansas. It will be swinging on through the region tonight and tomorrow and weakening. And once we get on the backside of that thing, we are home free for a while. So Futurecast is picking up the isolated showers we have right now, perhaps a few more later on tonight. We start out in the 60s, partly to mostly cloudy in the morning. Here comes a cold front along with that area of low pressure that will team up to give us the rain chance tomorrow. We top out in the 80s, and notice how not everyone is guaranteed a shower storm tomorrow as the front moves on through. Drier air comes on in for your weekend, so that means sunny weather for Saturday, Sunday, and probably in the Monday too. So things are looking pretty good with a big area of high pressure not too far away that will just direct some drier air down here into our region. 84 tomorrow, 80s for the weekend, lower 80s there. Look at those lows, 57 Sunday morning, Monday morning, around 90 by the middle of next week with more humidity, and that can mean some more spotty storms.
Class may be out, but there are still coaching changes in the high school ranks. Courtney has the latest a little bit later in sports.
You're watching WCBI News at 10 with Scott Martin.
Welcome back, everyone. Cardiovascular disease, including heart disease and stroke, is the leading cause of death in Mississippi, accounting for over a third of all deaths in the state. Mississippi's CVD mortality rate remains the highest in the nation. We learn more in tonight's Health Talk with Baptist.
Hi, I'm Belinda Sanderson, Director of Quality at Baptist Memorial Hospital Golden Triangle. This week we've talked about symptoms and types of strokes. Tonight we're going to talk about controllable and uncontrollable risk factors. Some risk factors can be controlled by lifestyle changes and/or medications. High blood pressure, atrial fibrillation, AFib, high cholesterol, and diabetes are all medical risk factors for stroke that are controllable. People with high blood pressure have 1.5 times the risk of having a stroke. AFib is a type of irregular heartbeat. It's most common in people aged 65 and older. It raises stroke risk because it allows blood to pool in the heart, where it tends to form clots that can be carried to the brain, causing a stroke. High cholesterol in arteries can block the normal flow of blood to the brain and cause a stroke. Total cholesterol levels below 200 is recommended. People with diabetes are up to 4 times more likely to have a stroke, mainly because they have other stroke risk factors such as high blood pressure, AFib, and/or high cholesterol. Some factors for stroke can't be modified by medical treatment or lifestyle changes. Age. Stroke occurs in all age groups. Family history of stroke. Stroke seems to run in some families. Gender. Men have a higher risk for stroke in young and middle age, but rates even out at older ages and more women die from stroke. Race. Studies show that the age-adjusted incidence of stroke is about twice as high in African Americans and Hispanic Americans as in Caucasians. Join us next time for Health Talk with Baptist.
Mail your topic suggestions to healthtalk@wcbi.com. Health Talk has been brought to you by Baptist Memorial Hospital Golden Triangle.
One Houston native is a dual threat, whether that's up to bat or on the mound. Meet the Gatorade Player of the Year next in sports.
Your WCBI Sports with Courtney Robb.
For the first time in the history of the award, a Mississippi Gatorade Player of the Year lives in Houston, Mississippi. Junior softball player Paige Kilgore is named the state's top softball player. Kilgore was dominant before the season was shut down, posting a 7-0 record from the mound with a .43 ERA and 94 strikeouts, along with a .438 batting average and 2 home runs. How about that? Kilgore says winning the award was a surprise. However, she's thankful that the hard work she's put in is paying off.
I'm just blessed, honestly, because I don't know. I mean, I put in the work, but if it wasn't for my teammates and coaches and the good Lord, I wouldn't have done it and couldn't have done it. I just hope that the younger girls, they see that if they put the work in and, you know, if they set goals and stuff, then they can achieve them.
I was sitting there, I woke up and walked my recliner, which is my normal ritual, you know, and I checked my phone, and the first thing I saw was, congratulations, your player just won the Gatorade Player of the Year, man. You know, and that's exciting as a coach to see one of your players have that kind of success. Man, it's a testament to her hard work, man, her folks, the team, you know, and all that into it. It's a testament to all that. So to see one of them get the award, basically for the state of Mississippi, man, it's just a proud moment as a coach.
Kilgore will be a finalist for the Gatorade National Softball Player of the Year award. That will be announced later in June. Smithville has found its newest head football coach, welcoming back a familiar face. Chad Cullums is returning to coach the Seminoles after a 3-year stint as the head coach of Raleigh. Cullums was the head coach of Smithville from 2014 to 2016, posting a record of 32-9 with back-to-back North Half final appearances in both 2015 and 2016. Once again, the NCAA has extended the recruiting dead period. Now that period will run through July 31st. This directly means no official visits for football until the end of July and no on-campus visits for men's or women's basketball, as well as many other Division I sports. However, in terms of other changes being made, strength and conditioning coaches may observe workouts virtually. Observations have to come from the student athlete. The committee extended the recruiting period originally through the end of June. Basketball season might be months away. However, planning for the 2020 season still goes on as matchups have been announced for the SEC Big 12 Challenge. One familiar team won't be making an appearance this year, Mississippi State. The 10-team format includes many teams from each conference. However, the Bulldogs aren't one of them. The matchups are as follows: Baylor at Arkansas, South Carolina at Iowa State, Kansas at Ole Miss, Kentucky at K-State, Oklahoma at Georgia, Alabama at Oklahoma State, TCU at Missouri, Texas A&M at Texas is the interesting one. Instead of former MSU head coach Vic Schaefer matching up with his former Bulldog team, it will be a matchup between the student as the master, as Schaefer will take on his former coach Gary Blair that he was an assistant with. Texas Tech at Vanderbilt, continuing on with the lineup, Tennessee at West Virginia. Game dates and times for all of these will be announced at a later date. That's it for sports. We'll have more for you when we come back. Stay with us.
A few more showers and storms on our Friday, very similar to what we had today. Some of you may see one, some of you may not. As we get into your weekend, Saturday and Sunday, lower 80s. Humidity levels drop, and that should allow some very comfortable nights to develop. Mid to upper 50s for lows here Sunday morning, Monday morning. Next week, we skyrocket back up to around 90 degrees. Summer-like humidity returns as well by Tuesday, skies. So get ready. One more day, then the weekend's here.
Hey, we're going to like that little break in the humidity for
Anytime
sure.
we can do that, we'll take it.
Definitely. Thanks, Keith. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great night. We'll see you back here tomorrow.